Right then, we are now live. We've got the one and only special guest, Ernie Altbacker, on tonight. But before we tuck into him or what he's got to say, you know what we're going to do? As we always do, we're going to do a bit of this. Well, we love it when we do that. What do you think, Ernie? Bit dramatic, bit Hitchcock meets Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, I was wondering. I'm like, I know that last one for sure. I mean, it's a little ominous, you know. Now I'm worried. Whoa, what type of questions are there going to be? Who knows? But I'm
Don't
excited.
worry, Ernie. We think you've got the industry chops to handle it. The big five, we like to make our guests feel nice and at ease on our show with a bit of ominousity. Right then, we've shown the trailer. What's next? Let's keep Ernie guessing. Right then, the Five Pillars of Storytelling Live is an extension of our X home-based platform on social media. And we've got 5,499 creative leaders. We don't call our followers, we call them creative leaders around these parts. Azrael speaks tonight to Ernie Altbacker, and he's our special guest tonight. We do art, comics, movies, games, and toys. The Five Pillars of Storytelling. Think of them as five eyes to five needles. Art threads into comics. Comics go into movies, they're big business, but even eclipsing by some order of magnitude these days, games are interactive movies and very big business. Obviously, we're living in the era of Michelangelo for the masses. If you see Todd McFarlane toys and some of the special alt figure kits out there that are producing meticulous exactitude, Michelangelo articulation and detail for the masses, it's sculpture for the masses, it's toys. And in the playground of your head, unlimited effects budget, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Absolutely. So, art, comics, movies, games, and toys are, you might call them sub niches of the overall umbrella of storytelling. Right. So, it's Sunday, the 16th of November. It's Area 51 Studios. That's an indie comic we're going to be chatting about with Ernie, and it's 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It's just a log into YouTube, and like a follow on X, it's free to do. It just allows us to shine an extra bit of light, a gentle light on creators. I have to say we're up to 162. It's been a very winding journey, but we haven't put a full show into YouTube as we have X. That was our platform of focus, but we are on Blue Sky, we are on Facebook, and we do have modest presences there, and Instagram, we're on there as well. So we're going to just start leaning into those a little bit more, but for now, X is the home-based foundation of the Five Pillars of Storytelling. Now, a bit more spiel before we get around to doing this and putting these on, listening through with our ears. We're going to host a bit of introduction, then it's Ernie all the way. Host introduction, hello there. Welcome to the Five Pillars of Storytelling Live, where we talk art, comics, movies, games, and toys, all with that golden thread of storytelling. I'm your host, Azrael. My secret identity is Carl Prometheus, storyteller, artist, and promoter of indie creators, indie comics, and the indie comic community, doing our humble bit to help grow the community. Our style is universal. We can be watched by creative families, creative adults, and the creative younglings. Our motto is to listen, learn, and share with our resident creative leader and industry expert of that, there's no doubt. Industry quote, comics are an international language. They can cross boundaries and generations. Comics are a bridge between all cultures. Osamu Tezuka, legend. Now, guest introduction. He's probably a very nice, experienced guy. Like all creators, probably very modest. We'll say the nice stuff for him, so he doesn't have to worry about blowing his own trumpet. That's what we're here to do. Guest introduction is Ernie Altbacker. Pros, Ernie Altbacker at Ernie Altbacker on X, writer of Aztec Batman, Batman Hush, Justice League Dark, Area 51 Studios, his recently launched indie comic, now on issue 2. He's a comic nerd before it was trendy, maybe a Bronze Age kind of guy like ourselves, perhaps.
Mhm.
And so we're going to say welcome to special guest Ernie Altbacker. Welcome to the show, sir.
Well, thanks for having me, Kyle or Azrael. Um, thanks for having me. I mean, like it's really cool. I've been trying to get some more, English podcasts or something because I really like the community over there. Everybody I meet over here, say at the San Diego Comic Con, if they're Englanders, they always are pretty cool and they're very interesting to speak to. So you don't seem any different. You seem very knowledgeable.
You're most kind, sir, and generous with your words. Now then, let's go to the big 5 questions, Ernie. Are you ready to go in there?
Let's do it.
Okay, then. Who is? It's a bit like the psychiatrist's couch. You can lay down on the couch and you could tell us about your father. No, it's not quite like that, but it is a kind of where we're going to be quiet and just let you do the talking. So the question is, who is Ernie Altbacker? Storytelling influences, art journey, movies, and music. We're going through the who, what, and why of Ernie.
Well, I mean, I guess when I was a kid, I just loved comic books and fantasy and sci-fi novels. So I read a lot of that stuff. And then all of the TV shows at that time, your Space 1999s, your Battlestar Galactica, your Star Treks, obviously, Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, things like that is just kind of fantastic. And I guess that kind of molded me of what I kind of wanted to do. Um, and it kind of ended up with me going over to LA after I got into the American Film Institute for screenwriting. And while I was trying to get live action stuff off the ground, which is extremely difficult. The one job that I was asked to do because it wasn't a big deal at that time. People look down on cartoons, right? And I was just like, hey man, I love comics and I love cartoons. I was watching them when I was like 30 years old, and they're like, man, are you wasting your life? It turned out that was the thing that paid off, was watching all the cartoons, knowing all of that stuff, all the nerd stuff. And I got called in by John Semper, who was the story editor, the producer of the Amazing Spider-Man. I guess they're calling it now Amazing Spider-Man 95 or 97, right? So, and that was the first job that I got. It was like the number one cartoon, and people didn't want to do it. It's crazy now, because it's a pretty famous show that did a lot of cool things. And throughout the years, while I've been trying to do live action stuff and television shows, um, the animated space really kind of was where I made my bones, made my credits. And then I guess there was a certain time after I was on a lot of shows, but then I got to do a feature length Scooby Doo and the WWE. I actually wrote the second one, so I did a good job on that. And they're like, "Hey, would you like to do more of a comic book one? This thing called Justice League Dark." And I was like, "Would I?" you know. So that one turned out pretty well. I got me Teen Titans, the Judas contract. I got
Wow.
to adapt that, and then after that was Batman Hush, and then suddenly I became known as a person that did these type of feature length animated superhero uh, films, and so I guess that's what I'm more known for. But I have written a kids book series. called Shark Wars. It was like a 6-book series that worked out pretty well for me also. But I wasn't able to get into comics. I thought because I had written these things that like DC would, of course, they're going to, when I send this email, get right back to me. It does not work that way. They have their own writers. And so I just thought after banging my head against that for a couple of years that, I'm going to just have to do this myself. And I met an artist at San Diego Comic-Con in this thing called the Comics Creator panel. And the Comics Creator Connection. And what they described it as is it's speed dating between comic artists and writers that want to do comics. And you would just go from table to table. And so that's where I met Josh White, who is the person who did that cover, and he does everything actually. He draws the entire thing. He does the penciling, the inking, the coloring, and he even does the lettering. And so we just first started doing this as a kind of a side project for number one. It probably took about 2 years to get number one done. But then when we were like, you know what, let's like really do this. It was a novella that I had written before that literally my agents were like, that idea is way too weird. I should probably say what it is. So everything you know about Area 51 is wrong. It is actually a studio where aliens come to make galactic reality shows. And so at the time it was like all superheroes. And I'm like, well, I got to get this out of myself. I'm going to write this novella and just stick it in a drawer. But there was this few people that really, really liked it. And they're like, you should do this as the comic. And I showed it to Josh and he was like, yeah, this is great. So we're adapting it. It's going to be a 4-issue run at first that we're going to put into a graphic novel. So like number 3 is going to be coming out in February, or that's when we're going to do the Kickstarter campaign. And number 2 has just ended, but there are late pledges. Like you can get, we don't ship to England because boy, oh boy, the postage these days is really tough, but you can get for very cheaply a digital copy of 2 or 1 and 2 or the novella sent to you pretty quick and easy. And I put the link into our private chat if you want to put that up anywhere at the end of this show or something.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, you have a robust track record of storytelling, but that transition between that and actually getting into an established publishing house like the Big Two, they've probably got their team that they know, and it's all about maybe sometimes who you know. And they've got the people maybe they rely on until they go off and do other things, and that's where perhaps the opportunity is there to break into it. But indie comics are, we would say, are at such a point of a renaissance these days where the technology, all the planets are in alignment that you can do it yourself. You can create it yourself. You can get it printed on demand. You can distribute it yourself. You've got half the internet that are, well, half the planets are on the internet, maybe more. And so the old way of thinking isn't necessarily the new way of how it is. And we're still not sure that indie comics have quite caught up with where the technology is. But some people are getting there, you know what I mean? They're on social media and they're using crowdfunding and they're using print-on-demand printing houses, yeah? Mm-hmm. It's getting them, you know? Exactly. It's starting to embrace the tech. Right, we have got for you another question, sir. What does Ernie Altbacker create? If Azrael flies an angel rings across that mere pond called the Atlantic and touches down before you at a convention table and you're there standing enthusiastically with your hands ready to pitch sell me with a big beaming smile, what's your elevator pitch? What's your convention table pitch for me to make me a customer? And go for it.
All right. Well, I kind of did this in the last one. I wish I knew about the questions, but as I said, this is a place where your cheap alien producers come to create galactic reality TV. I would say it is kind of like a mishmash between Seth Rogen's The Studio, or for us older people, The Larry Sanders Show, mixed with Men in Black. And what I tried to do initially was I was, so impressed by Douglas Adams, the restaurant at the end of the universe and life, the universe and everything. I wanted to write something with that same type of sense of dry-ish humor. And I think that we're bringing that into the comic. And it's basically about the behind the scenes of Hollywood, the stuff that I've seen, but with aliens. So I get to make all these different weird situations. So you have numerous set problems. Sometimes your stars, or it doesn't have to be stars, actors, they might have a meltdown or something. Well, in my thing, one of the places is doing an alien soap opera called All My Nymphs, as opposed to All My Children. And she gets in a fight with the male lead and eats his head. So now they have to, replace him. So it's like a mantis race. What are the problems specific to that alien race? And there's just dozens of them kind of that are going to be featured in this. So I think it's kind of like very light, very fun. With a lot of meta stuff. I do a lot of hat tipping to the stuff that inspired me. Every name, every made up name of a planet or a race, is an author's name or a film character's name. Some of them might be scrambled up. So if you're that type of person that kind of goes, oh, I know that reference. I know that reference. Well, I guarantee you're not going to get them all. I mean, there's hundreds.
Yeah.
In the
It's
novella,
you're bringing yourself and your experience as a geek to indie comics, yeah. And instead of the studio pressuring you to do a paint by numbers cookie cutter, bring this, that, and the other to this comic, you can decide for yourself what the references are.
That is the great thing about this. Now, I love being in a room with the DC people and the Warner Brothers people trying to write one of those big movies, adapt Batman Hush or something. That's great because you have to work with so many people and juggle all of their needs. Someone is like, oh, this is my favorite scene and thing. You got to get it in, and so that's great. But with this comic, it's just Josh and I talking. And like, what if this happened? And if we both laugh at it, it's usually in. And that's the decision-making process. Did we find it funny?
Fair enough. Humor, let that be our guided post, yeah? Area 51 Studios, Issue 2. Several Boone, alien producer extraordinaire, goes live to the galaxy with his epic reality show, The Human Race. Now, look at that cover. I'll tell you what. Is that yours, Mr. White?
That's him, yeah.
What can you say? It's unusual. It's like nothing else out there. It's got a delicate poise, like the trade dress. Trade dress doesn't get an awful lot of chat in the indie comics community, but we always raise it with guests on our special guests on our show. If we see distinct trade dresses, that's part of being professional, bringing your sense of identity to the indie comics wild frontier. Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
what's about that?
The cool thing. Now I read a lot of indie comics, especially now that I'm doing Kickstarters. You have friends doing Kickstarters, and of course you want to support them also. So I get to read a lot of stuff. Now the one thing that it seems like many of these comics are super action oriented, where you're just leafing through it and there's just like look out and whatever. So you're like done with the comic in 8 or 10 minutes. So I wanted to make something that's a little more chewy, where you can go over and there's stuff in the background that are little hints and clues and things like that. Some of the pages are kind of packed, and the stuff going on in the background is also quite humorous. So I guess the greatest compliment that I've gotten from a couple of people is that this is a funny comic. Like they go, "Oh, I laughed out loud on this. That hardly ever happens." And I'm like, "Yes, that's exactly what I wanted to do." So it is kind of different. I really like those big war fighty battle epics, but I just thought that this idea was so unique. And as I said, my agents were just not interested because they're like, "This is way too tough to sell. No one, there's nothing out like this." And I'm like, well, I think that's a positive.
It's a
It's
positive.
it's weird. It's really weird and eccentric, and that's one of the things that's perfect for indie comics, because literally I couldn't go to Marvel or DC, not unless I was J.J. Abrams or something, right? You go, "Hey, I've got a weird comic," and they're like, "Yeah, we'll do it. Let's go." But Ernie Altbacker is not J.J. Abrams or um,
But that's the thing. The movie studio system aren't making an awful lot of money. Wonder why that is. Could it be? And you can just be nice and quiet and diplomatic. We're going to say it. We don't like too much controversy, but it's just something we noticed. They're not making an awful lot of money, and it's almost like it's death by sequel, and rinse and repeat, rinse and reboot. If it's the big two comics companies, so actually bringing something different, you're rolling the dice. You're taking a risk. And if you don't take a risk, you don't get that next big franchise that people go, "You know what? I'm kind of bored," and that's different.
That's exactly what we were trying to do. I mean, and certainly if you go on the internet, they're like, everything's a sequel, and then something will come out like The Edge of Tomorrow, and they don't support it. I'm like, this movie is brilliant. I've seen that at least 20 times. There are layers to it. It's so fun. And that was off of a graphic novel. I believe it's called like All You Need Is Kill or something like that. So they changed it to The Edge of Tomorrow. Um, but I like supporting the new and the different stuff. And
We think that culture of supporting the new and different stuff is starting to emerge from the readership and audience of indie comics. They will come to expect that, and word of mouth will travel fast in the indie comics community.
yeah, well, I mean, and it's not, hey, nothing's going to stop me from going to see like Avengers Endgame, right? I mean, but but I think that you got to look a little bit deeper to get those kind of gems that become the next big thing. So I mean, right now we're just dealing with the comic, but because I have these kind of entrees and have worked for the streamers before, I'm hoping at a certain point that we'll be able to do something, either a low budget animated feature, or a 6 or 8 episode type miniseries that could really show this idea and maybe gain an audience.
Speaking of showing this idea and gaining an audience, how about we have a look at the trailer, which is always technically interesting for me. I have to remove the presentation and then add this to the stage. This is where I need a Steam Deck with magic buttons. I think we're going to press play on this, and
So this is like the splash page. You're only seeing half of it. Like you can see the whole thing, and you see very art style. We want to make it something like sure where it would be easy to animate. And there's like the stuff around. There's a hat tip to the where Supergirl dies. They're doing an alien version of it. Josh did this by himself. He's like, I'll try and do something. I have never done it before. So It's just going down pages of his his own art, and I was like, oh, this
Yeah.
is cool. But we really got to do one that's a little bit snazzier at a certain point. Maybe do some voices in there.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, I mean, trailers are how you sell it these days. So we think it's a good idea to have trailers. We love them.
Yeah.
So we really do. And I tell you what, it gives a bit of a flavour of it. And I think you're right there. Perhaps a bit more voiceover work in that. Get into it. Do some voices. You've obviously a guy with a lot of experience, charisma. You and your geek art friend will probably have a raucous sense of humour. Throw yourself into it. But yeah, that's a decent preview, and it gives us a flavour of it. And you know what? You mentioned about Men in Black, and we thought Truman Show, nature, reality, conspiracy. Given the way the world is, even though we don't talk about politics, sex, and religion we don't talk about those kind of things. We thought, you know what? It almost seems to us that this is the perfect book for the times that we live in. It could almost, satire though it is, that you're hinting at, we think would explain a great many things about the way the world is.
Well, that is kind of the great thing about sci-fi is you can get into weighty matters, but it's kind of acceptable to do so, and it doesn't make anybody angry. I go back to the original Star Trek, right? With that great episode where there's the two aliens, right? Black and white on their faces.
Yeah.
And they're like, you guys look the same to us. And he goes, are you mad? I'm black on the left. He's black on the right. And so that's perfectly throws a light on racism, but it does it in this way of like, that is kind of a dumb reason. And if you get there, then you're like, oh yeah, I'm doing that in life. Maybe you shouldn't, right?
That's what we like actually about, well, Star Trek's a perfect example of it in the 60s, is that it has feet of clay. I think even Stanley himself said, that rather famous editor and publisher, he said that heroes should have feet of clay. And that way it's more about giving your audience the credit for having a brain and figuring things out for themselves rather than spoon feeding them. That era of Disney where you could speak to a child or speak to an adult, that's really good writing, multi-layered and nuanced. And in the era before Captain Kirk went crazy and took over the Enterprise era that we've had in the last 20 years. But moving swiftly on from that, tell us about, we've got some panels from your Kickstarter, which we're guessing are like a prelude that explains maybe the last campaign in issue 1. So if you could just talk us through them, and we'll just click through the panels.
Well, this one is just kind of it's a subtle dig at what I go through as a writer. I mean, there's an alien producer. The term golden time is when they go into overtime, which costs a lot. And he doesn't want to do that. And she goes, not my problem. And this coffee is weak and tepid, just like your dialogue, right? It's kind of the worst thing. It's kind of the worst thing you can say to a writer. It's like your dialogue
do that to
man. So I do a lot of digs at myself and writers in general, but also all of Hollywood in these comics. I guess.
Fair game.
Yeah.
Fair game. So we like that. A writer doesn't take himself too seriously. We like that. A bit of tongue in cheek, as we say over here in the UK. Tell us about this one. This one is beautifully evocative with the color palette on each panel. Tell us more.
Yeah, this is one of the original drawings, concept drawings that Josh did when I said this, like Area 51 is this huge, Area 51 Studios is this huge underground thing. There's only like, it looks about as big as a solo outhouse. And then you take an elevator down, and there's these multiple levels. And so these are different sets, right? So they're doing a monster movie in the first one. They're doing some other dystopian place, dystopian alien movie, right? So this would be like their cities, and they'd be like, oh my god, look at it's supposed to be pink, the gases, but it's green, that means it's dirty, right? In the third one, they're doing this gladiatorial show, and they've accidentally injured the other troll in the thing, and you see the producers going, "Oh my God, what happened?"
Yeah.
And then then there's a fourth one where it's some sort of other dystopian thing, and it's kind of hard to breathe over there. But he's just walking through sets to show you how big and expansive these studios are.
Yes, that is what you call, wow.
But the colors are great, right?
The colors are great. The colors are so evocative, you know what I mean? And the idea of having scale to a studio set, I mean, crikey, you mean you could almost shoot the Apollo moon landing with a set that big.
Well, actually, so those are it's kind of like a volume, right? That's probably only 100 meters by 100 meters, but they have it projected on the walls, and it just looks perfect.
Got you.
You know, so they pack a lot in there, and then I have this soundproof barrier comes down so that you can be hustling and bustling in front of it, and it doesn't bother the take. It kind of takes place. It's the sci-fi version of the red light that you would see if I'm walking through Warner Brothers. All the doors are closed, and it says there's this flashing red light, and it says "Do not enter shooting." Right? You don't want to bungle in there and blow one of their takes. Like, hello, like that would be bad. So in this, they've kind of solved that problem with these little barriers, these force barriers, so you can see in, you can watch them shooting, but you couldn't really get onto the set.
Hermetically sealed.
Exactly.
Like modern sealed food, which you can't get into without a pair of scissors. You can't tear them open anymore without breaking your hands.
Oh yeah, no, those are tough. You need scissors now.
Yeah, we thought it was just us. It's you guys stateside as well. That's another one.
My favorite is when I'm trying to open a recalcitrant bag of chips. You're like, yeah, and then all of a sudden, it just like everything comes out. And I'm like, well, there goes my chips.
Yeah, and for us,
there goes my snack. Damn it.
Yeah, we hear you. And for us, it's a jar of beetroot which needs to be vacuum sealed, and we have to stab it with a pair of scissors, and then we can open it.
Yeah.
You know me? Yeah. What can we say here? Right. Next panel.
So if you read this one, that's the stage manager, Bib. He's and the only reason he's called Bib is because ZB, who you see in silhouette there, he's coming up. He can't pronounce his name, Bob, right? And he's just like, Bib. We're saying the same thing, right? It's another point, right? So we just call him Bib. And so that's your classic gray alien, the ones that do your abductions, right? And the backstory on this is that his budget was given to him by his planet's science institute. So in addition to shooting his show, every now and again, he's got to get them data by probing people, right? So he had abducted these campers, and he's just going, really? I'm shocked, And
I like the way you got the dual bilingual language there with the kind of like they used to do in Marvel times when people spoke in foreign languages. You'd have the kind of less than more than signs. Plus here, you've also got the alien squiggles as well to indicate the natural sounding tongue. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, some things the genius of the original Star Trek is they go down to a planet, and hey, guess what? Everybody speaks English because we have a universal translator. They don't really they don't really have it on their necks or something. I do this in the novella, but it was just unwieldy. So I just have like, something's implanted in their brain. But people just go with that, right? It's like, oh, all the aliens to us, we're speaking in English, right? But really they're speaking in their own languages, and it's just translating to the person. That person speaking back, it gets translated back into that language that they can understand. So I think sci-fi people are they're open-minded in many cases, to where they're not going to hit it with a logic stick. They're like, okay, I'm going to just go with it, right? so we don't have
Alien
to
tech.
talk
Oh
down.
man, isn't it? Alien tech.
Exactly. And I mean, same thing with like alien, say science. It's like the baffle gab. It's like the transporters can't get through the ion radiation field without our whizzlottle not working right now. It's like, okay, I get it. Yeah, they're in trouble. Right?
Yeah, we have to give credit to NASA where it's due. To get through the Van Allen radiation belt with a bean can, we think was cutting edge tech. Now we'll move swiftly on. We're being a bit naughty there. Sorry, NASA, we love you, especially your high res pictures of space. Gotta love them.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
tell us about this melodrama here, Ernie.
Well, see, so this is an alien show, and they're basically ripping off Crisis on Infinite Earths. So you have the very famous scene of Supergirl dying, and they've just like kind of adapted it to that, right?
Ernie, we've decided we really like you for doing a satire on Christ Infinite Earths, because regular listeners know exactly how we feel about Christ and Infinite Earths, that vaporized and erased 40 to 50 years worth of perfectly mighty fine 1, 2, 3 planets of history.
So you're not a fan. I've heard both opinions on this. I guess mine is colored a little bit because I know Marv Wolfman pretty well. And, he would give me the inside of like, well, we just had to. It was just getting so confusing, and this made it better. And I'm like, but all these fans are like, I know 40 years of history, and now you're telling me that's all gone.
That man doesn't know Superman anymore. I tell you what, we love Marv Wolfman. And you ready for the answer? We love Marv Wolfman on the New Teen Titans with George, the Shining Sun Perez.
Perez, yeah.
What
Rest
can
in
we
peace.
say? That was their book. Yeah. But then to leave that and erase, hey, it's, we still have to go to therapy for it. We can count to 3. Watch this. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 Earths. Now we have millions of Earths. We kind of hop around on them. We don't know which is which now. So if we can cope with that, we couldn't cope with 3 before. Just saying.
I mean, although some of the stories on some of the Earths are so cool, like Earth X, Nazi World, I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. And we just seen that in the Peacemaker, basically, right? They're over there in that dimension, I guess. But yes, I'm kind of a fan, I got to say, just because it lets you. When there was only 3, if you would go pitch an idea, they would go, well, you know what? We think we want to take away, depower Superman, and be like, no, we can't. It's in the timeline, it's canon. We can't have him not be powered in these other comics and stuff that they appear in. Well, with the Infinite Earths, you can. You can go do that story. You can go, I'm going to kill Shazam and show how that affects, now Black Adam is going to take over the world. They're interesting stories, but they're Elseworlds, and they don't have to erase the canon that we know. I think both can exist.
Ernie, we've got a question for you.
All right.
As a fellow geek, Captain Marvel, the Big Red Cheese, or Superman? Who wins in that fight?
Oh, I mean, I just always come down on Superman's side, but the thing is, Captain Marvel's is magic. So really, he should be able to just go ziggity zang, you don't exist.
Yeah.
would win that fight.
We're going for Captain Marvel 2-1 on sales from the golden era, and yeah, better costume, better concept, better sales, magic, and what can we say? CC Beck.
I mean, he's one of the greats. Yeah, obviously. But yeah, magic is so tough to do because if there are no rules, then there are no problems or difficulties for the person to get into. So it's best. It's really hard to do it with a main character. It's best to put some sort of limiter on it. I think for the storytelling, but
Rules of law.
exactly. Whether it's there's only so much mana that you can draw from, or you burn yourself out, or just it just needs a break, or else it just gets a little. I mean, I've seen comics where they did magic fights, and it is just it's just your imagination. It's a stream of consciousness, and I'm like, I guess this is interesting for a second, but it gets tiring after a
bit
while.
Abstract. Now, have you read Kingdom Come by Wade and Alex Ross, where Captain Marvel gives Superman it? And obviously, the weak link in Captain Marvel's chain is when Superman just grabs hold of him. When he does the Shazam word for the third time, it's like, okay, son, that's enough. And he just stops Billy Batson from saying it one more time. And says, look, you've proven your point, but we need your help. And he says, go. And he sacrificed himself, not Superman.
Yeah.
And we think that's kind of how it is, but yes, it's on an Elseworld, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, it's a fantastic story, obviously, but yeah, sometimes that gets a little bit wonky. Man, I read the thing so long ago that I don't have it at the forefront of my memory. So I think I'm missing some chunks there about how it goes down. But I remember being enthralled with the story when I did read it.
Pensive. Now let's get back to your stuff here, Ernie. We're going to test you with another little question here. We're being a little bit cute here. We love the guy on the camera. As soon as we saw that, we thought, yeah, we get the Crisis reference, which kind of puts us on that winding bramble road to the briar patch, which we've just been on in our case. And what's the name of that character? We love him. He's cute, and he's got this anti-grav kind of camera as well, which is cool.
Yeah, it's their steady cam. He doesn't have a name. This is just like you can see ZB is on the right there. If you widen out the panel a little bit, you'll see that it's that's shooting. And I do pass a lot of people. We're just setting them up for people that you're going to meet later. Just kind of world building, character building. If you go into the Area 51 Studios Kickstarter, and you can get there from area51comic.com. And then there's a link. That's our personal site. But if you go area51comic.com/KS, it goes right into the thing. And you'll see preview pages of him, walking through the set in #1 also. But I don't know if you can get to a one that's not, that's done, right? Like a campaign that's done. I don't think it's as easy. But we have preview pages, and so you can see the sets, and he's Zephyr Boone, ZB as everybody calls him. And okay, can you guess why? Okay, well, no, this is an unfair question. I'll just tell you. So ZB is his name, but Zephyr Boone. The reason why I chose those two letters to begin his first and last name is it is a little hat tip to Zaphod Beeblebrox.
All right. Are we on Hitchhiker?
Yeah, on Hitchhiker. So I just thought that was it's such a great book, but that's
You ever
why
watch the series Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I did. I don't know if they got all of it. Let's say the book is just the book is just too good. I
Too
would
good,
love.
too dense, too detailed.
Yeah, it's one of those things where maybe its best medium is the the theater of the mind and reading it in prose. His
And Alan
work,
Moore makes that point about the Watchmen, doesn't he? In terms of certain things are created for the medium, and obviously he has his issues with it being transferred to a another medium. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, well, Alan Moore's work has these great layers, and a lot of times the adaptations don't take into account those layers. Having said that, I did enjoy the movie, um, and
worth the attempt.
yeah, the attempt. I mean, it was pretty much shot for shot. That's one of the things that you will get a lot because I do adaptations also, right? Of these great comic runs. And they're like, well, you didn't include this, you didn't include that. We only have so much time, so I can't. I mean, if they had the unlimited budget and they could do everything, they might do it. In fact, they did a Watchmen cartoon, which is pretty accurate to the comic. But the live action was in a lot of cases shot for shot. Um, and so then people will go, oh, I knew everything that was coming, right? So there's these two schools of thought of no, it should be changed because it's a different thing. So why not have some changes? Why not give it a smack of originality because everybody knows the story so well? Or do we go, no, this material is sacred and we must adapt it fully as the comic or the book? And I go back and forth on that. Obviously, from what I've been doing, I enjoy both. I'm like an easy critic, man. I will always find something.
Easy critic. I tell you what. God bless you, sir. Now,
I am not. I'm not. I would never be a good critic because I'm always like, even in the movies that people call train wrecks, I'm like, but what about this scene? That was so cool. Like, if there's just a couple moments in it, I'm like, yeah, that was all right. And people are like, are you insane? Right?
Ernie, do you know what we like about you? You're positive and you've got so much grace. God bless you, sir.
Oh,
Now,
thank you. Thank you.
no, we like that. We do. We like that positivity. It's the one of the things we do at the Five Pillars of Storytelling on X is if we can't say something nice, we don't say it.
Well, I mean, you know what? That puts you in maybe the 1% of podcasts
We
because
found so.
certainly there's many of them are more crap talkers, shall we say, or that like to stir the pot. I'll tell you about this page. So this is one of the preview pages. But the thing is, like in the comic that's coming out, we've put a lot more dialogue in there, right? So this was kind of done, and then we do our final pass of like, you know what? Let's get some jokes in there. So I wanted to have the egg people, um,
That's our humor. We like that.
yeah. So like the egg people are like, well, what would they say if they're like, no, you can't go to Mardi Gras in costumes like that, and I think the guy's like, you know, what what's your what's the damage to your yolk, meat sack, right? So you got to kind of like do it of like, what would the alien, what's their thing, what's their f-bomb, and everything their jokes and stuff all are about yolk,
So
right?
it's all about adding that narrative density. You go through narrative passes like the foundation, the basic dialogue. You've got obviously the story, then the dialogue, and then you do an edit pass of there for the quality. But in between,
Exactly.
you're thinking, can we have an extra layer of jokes and an extra layer of geek talk reference in the background captions or extra layers of this, that, and the other?
So on the right hand side there, so that you're seeing a movie that's going on, and they have that little barrier, that haze, right? So I have the person who's the alien, the floating alien whose back is to us. He goes action, and then the alien on the right, which is behind the guy that's holding basically our title card. So if you see that this is kind of like, that's a mechanical ant head, right? So they're doing his close up, and his line is, by Snyder's verse, the Queen has been zombified. So there's my little hat tip to the Snyderverse, right? Which I really like. I like both. I like the Gunverse, and I like the Snyderverse. I just treat them as different things. Like,
Yeah.
if you didn't have it when we were growing up, I don't know how old you are, but we're probably closer than, when I get in with a 25-year-old podcast.
We stopped counting at 29. Having been raised by 11 ladies, we're very touchy about our age. Continue.
Yeah, so we're both 29 and a half, let's say. But like, people are like, with the cartoons, and they're beautiful, right? They go, oh, the Young Justice or Green Lantern, I don't like the animation. And I'm like, man, we had Filmation animation, which was literally just like a cardboard thing pulled across a space background, and an Eskimo was riding Hal Jordan in space. That's what we had, So
Yes.
I'm like, stop the complaining on, it's not as good as a Pixar movie. Yeah, they spend $250 million, for God's sakes. Of course, it's not going to be as good as all these adaptations behind me. They're I want to say $1.7 million. That's the entire budget. That's to get a 90-minute movie out for that. It's crazy.
Ernie, seeing as you brought up the subject of Snyderverse, which we like it very much. We watched a lot of it. I think it's flawed, but we do like it. We're going to say some casting. I want you to quick fire answers. Yes, no. Right. Henry Cavill as Superman.
Yes.
Batfleck.
Yes.
Goodall.
Yes.
As Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Yeah, I think not Carter.
Awesome.
Not Carter, but yes, that scene where she rescues them in
the museum.
In the museum, and you've got the kind of background. You've got the Andrews sisters in the background announcing her arrival. Perfect.
Now, that little music that they have on her, that I'm like, yes, oh man, this is so good.
That is absolutely 11 out of 10. That impersonation, we like that. They nailed that. Some fans didn't like it. We loved it. You know what I mean? Everybody gets a kind of theme tune. Now we're going to go into choppy waters. Cyborg, one of the Titans in the Justice League.
Oh, I don't know about Cyborg. Boy, I'll tell you what, the actor had a really thankless task, because I think I've heard a lot of stuff because of length hit the cutting room floor, which would have filled out his character more. But I could see someone else taking up that mantle. That's not a but I like it. So a lot.
That guy, that Cyborg in the new Teen Titans, Perez Wolfman style, perfect. Just in the right movie.
Yes.
Yeah. We'd say, where's my Hal Jordan? Give me the Sashi, man. Now, next one, not going to be too challenging. That guy with the brown eyes playing a blue-eyed, blonde-haired Flash. Like, what was he called again?
Oh, is that Ezra?
Ezra
Miller?
That's the one, yeah.
You know what? He's got off the set issues that I hope he takes care of. But if you look at that movie of the Flashpoint Paradox, which they were, doing, his level of acting between the two Barrys is amazing. I mean, when you think about the one that hasn't lost his parents and he's just kind of an ass, right? And then you go to the regular one. I mean, I just thought it was really cool when Batfleck goes in there and whips the batarang at him, and it's like, and it's like, oh my god, you're Batman, right? It's just kind of a nerd, you know. I think that's simplifying it, right? So you're fast. Yeah, it's a simplification.
The Snyderverse, the way they do superheroes and the way they conveyed the Flash's powers, perfection. But for us, we'll be polite on him, go easy on him and say it was a slight miscast. Or as we like to say, a slight miscastification.
Miscastification. Ooh, that sounds a little dirty too.
Let's get moving swiftly on because we don't do it on this show. Tell us about this next lovely page where we've got a couple of are they praying mantis? Is somebody getting to get their head eaten? Tell us about this one, Ernie.
Yeah, no, this is that scene that I was telling you about. So he's talking to his frenemy producer acquaintance, the blue guy. And what he had wanted to do with this Hollywood accounting was use this option fee that of this project that they were going to do together to fund the one that he's shooting now, The Human Race.
Yeah.
And Fazanel, the alien producer, has figured it out and kind of screwed him first, right? So again, we've added more dialogue in there. You know, like in the last panel, it's like, hold on there. Don't run away with the chorm just yet, sweetie, you know, while he's doing it. And I think in the subsequent scenes, he's going to have that like triangular piece of cake dissolving in his gut. So Josh is kind of on that. I look at these and I love the kind of palette that he uses where the background, everything is to the foreground. And the background is quite neutral in some cases. So then it's all on them and it's all on the dialogue, right? But this is kind of like behind the set drama type stuff, and I don't know. I just think it's kind of neat, you know.
It's playing on the idea of the prima donna and all the stereotypes we know about behind the scenes production, you know, to production hell and such forth. And you've got people who maybe are easy to work with and people maybe are not as easy to work with.
Exactly.
Yeah, to put it politely and diplomatically.
Yes.
Now, tell us about this one.
So here's where he tells them basically, oh no, I screwed you. I screwed you first. And so he's just laughing and leaving ZB there like, damn it, you know, now I've got no money. And we're just about to start shooting. And I really like what he did. Sometimes if you notice, the balloons will break panel and over here the ha 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 not only goes through that panel, but it's on him, like he hears his laughter as this guy is slithering away, and it even breaks the final panel to the right, which I think that's like kind of a neat artistic choice that he's like, we could do this, and I'm like, do that, you know.
It is, we like it.
Yeah, like it a lot.
It's, you know, it's those little touches that you can put in creative freedom.
Exactly.
Now, tell us about these alt covers. That's one of the things that is a jewel in the indie comics crown, is that not only do you have creative freedom at the wild frontier of indie comics, as they're on this current shockwave trajectory out there, where it's just you and your audience with very little noise in between these days and no gatekeepers. How about that?
Yeah.
But one of the jewels in the jewel in the indie comics crown is variant covers. Tell us about your VAR covers, please.
This is, we've had so much fun. We've really kind of hit our stride now in that in issue number 1, we did variant covers where we did Men in Black, and it was kind of like the poster. They're shouldering those guns, right, with our characters. And another one was a scene from 2001 where the astronaut is walking through that hexagonal thing as opposed to holding his air conditioner. ZB's on the phone trying to make a deal. So in this one, we're like, you know what? We just need to get images from famous scenes and put our characters in there as the variant cover. So the one on the right, that's also by Josh White. He's a big Star Wars fan. And I had mentioned, Return of the Jedi in that, like, wouldn't it be kind of funny? We could use Fazanel as Jabba the Hutt. And so he's like, oh my God, let's do that. I mean, Kaz is Leia, obviously, in the bikini, the slave girl bikini, and there's ZB as the Jedi. Actually, he did the back cover to this also, and you'll see Bib as the person that's mind controlled, right? And Lando is another crew member called Drin. So that's like a front and a back cover thing that I thought he did that really neat. Yeah. The first one is The Matrix, obviously. And this is
really stands out. That's the one that really, really took our eye. Just saying.
That's one where that's a guest artist. That's the first time we've done a guest artist. So that is Livio Ramondelli, and he is known for his for IDW, working on Star Wars, and more known for the Transformers covers and also stories. And if you see in the mirrored building in the background, what may or may not be, certainly not legally actionable, some Transformers fighting, but basically he was like, I'd like to do that Matrix roof scene. And I'm like, you think you can do it? You do it? And he's like, well, what's gonna make it different? And I go, okay, well, how about he's on the phone? He's doing that lean back thing, but he's on the phone and he's got a script, and we could actually put it on there, the human race. That's his production, right? So basically, in this case, I'm saying, here's what you don't want to do. Not read this as a producer, not read the script until the day you're on location shooting, and then suddenly you got big ideas on how it should be changed. So I have him like, he's on the phone trying to change stuff on the day that they're starting to shoot, and Kaz, his girl Friday, is shooting at him. So that like really went seamlessly. Yeah. So we just love this one, and he's been great. He's on X about putting it out there. Hey, check out this cover I did for this really fun project. And I think that one came out great. That's one of the really fun things. We were already planning on our variant covers for number 3. And there's just like too many good ideas. Like people are like, one I think that's coming in either 3 or 4 is Starship Troopers. And then we would actually have, what they always say is like, would you like to know more? Right. And we're going to actually put the QR code to the Kickstarter, because that's good. Perfect. Right. Would you like to know more?
The tech.
Yeah. And it's got all of those characters. I think that's an underrated movie. That thing got killed when it came out. They're like, this is stupid. And the book by Heinlein is amazing. But the movie is fantastic, and yeah, they're not Shakespearean actors in there, but it doesn't call for that. No. It calls for sci-fi, glitzy B-movie-esque stuff with this amazing depth that Verhoeven put in about kind of a totalitarian society taking over. And it speaks very loudly to today, what we're going through in several countries. Yeah, absolutely. Right.
We hear you. Last 5 years of the Darkness Wars tells us that for nothing. So yes, we like the way that Starship Troopers is a perfect example of having clay feet deeply buried, but it resonates now through a creative team that were looking forwards, and they could see the direction of travel. Let's call it that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Tell us about this. This is an unusual thing you've got. Tell us about this. This is very unique, and it's something that indie creators can do.
Oh yeah. So this basically is an ad for one of the tiers, which is the Draw Me In tier, and yeah, it's you can buy or you can back it for this, and then you'll get drawn in into a panel. So the first and the third panels are actual examples of people that backed on this level, and so they are now drawn into the comic, right? And then the second one is from issue number 2, and I was giving that as an example of like, yeah, that could be you, that guy that the general's pointing at there, right? I mean, it could be man or a woman or whatever, you know. Like I name her him Steve there, but if it was Chandra, then we would just draw it in as however that person would want to be portrayed, you know. Uh, I thought that was neat. Someone said, what are you going to do for like special levels, you know, when you're doing the first issue of a book? And indeed it was both Josh and my first Kickstarter and first comic, so we don't have like, hey, catch up on all of Ernie Altbacker's comic book stuff, so you can order this level. So we were just like selling a comic, like some extra, you know, drawings and stuff. It was like very low. I'm like, how are we gonna, can't possibly sell, you know, or you get 300 backers to make this. So we had to put in some higher items that so we can make the goal. And we didn't think that it would be that popular, but
Has it been?
we actually we had 3 in there, and then we changed it because we had the 3 backers within the first 3 days of it. We finally ended up doing number 4, or 4 of them, and the problem was we didn't have enough people in the background. Like we didn't have background scenes because I was establishing all this stuff and it was in space, and we really needed those guys to be like aliens in space. And we want someone, if they're going to back us with this type of commitment, that they really show their face. Like, yes, we'll turn them blue. Give them, that girl has some antennas there, but if they want to be in the book, we don't want to just be like, you know, oh, they're plants and you can't really tell it's them, right? We definitely want like
With a little alien twist, but you can tell it's them.
yes, yeah. So we actually had to repanel to get the 4th one in. We had to repanel 2 pages because I'm like, well, we need to show this person, right? So, but it was fun. And again, we've got 4. Talk about making kind of second level mistakes. In the first one, until you do a Kickstarter, you don't know what's going to happen. I read a bunch of things, and then all of a sudden it's totally different, and we're making new mistakes. In the second one, so we had this difficulty of putting all those people in. Well, we decided to do a sale, a discount in the first 48 hours of the people, and it worked like gangbusters. A ton of people. If you follow us, when number 3 comes out, we're going to do this discount again, and you'll know exactly like a day before or something. Here
So
it
if you
comes.
get in early, you get a discount.
Yeah, it's like
on being
20%
featured in the
off.
comic. Clever marketing.
Yeah, so we didn't do that for number 1 because we were just over our heads. So we do that, and the 3 slots like sell out. They're all taken. But then after 48 hours, the regular slots, where it was, you know, $250 instead of $200, that it rejuvenates. So now there's 3 more. And we're like, oh my God, we could have a total of 6. Like we did not, we thought it would be over, and we did not realize that all of the categories now are regular price. That counts as a completely new category. So now there's 3 again. And so we've one person did back that. So we're still doing 4. And I think that's over now. I mean, what you can get on the late backer thing, and I did this just for you on the English thing, is that you can get the digital, And then you can get the digital deluxe, which includes issue number 1, and it includes a bunch of extra art and also the novella, all on digital, so we don't have to ship it to you. Even though, yes, there's a thing that we're doing regular books in the United States for a week or two before we start shipping. Then we don't want orders for that after, because it'll screw up the shipping. Like at a certain point, you got to be done, right? But if you want to check it out, and it is, I think it's quite reasonable to get 2 comics and a novella and a bunch of art, concept drawings and stuff from Josh. And I think it's, I don't know, $17 or $19 or something like that. So it's actual novella. It's like 150 pages.
150 pages. We've got a hello from Tim the Passion Olsen. He says, "Hey Ernie."
How you doing, Tim?
And he's saying, "What's up, Kyle?" I'm saying, well, Azrael, he's listening to the super cool, robust, and veteran writer Ernie.
I don't think anybody's described me as robust before, so wow, all right. Look at that.
Well, no, we looked at the weight of your CV and thought that's quality. If he's coming from the studio system, he doesn't need the big 2 who aren't so big anymore. He can go straight, he can bypass them, go direct to indie comics. Amen, say we. What's this all about then? Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to do a brief overview for Tim, who's joining us a little bit later in our show, but what we're talking about, Ernie, Tim's has his own indie comic, which is called Melvin, which we backed issue 3 with that beautiful cover. He's got himself a real fancy artist who's elegant in that Alex Raymond kind of Gil Kane kind of way.
Well, that sounds awesome. Yeah, I'll look it up.
Fancy, we think so.
I mean, anybody that's trying to do something, I think you gotta tip your hat to them, because it's really easy to stay on the sidelines and just throw
eggs, eggs, hiss and boo. Harder to have passion, courage, and conviction like you have, good sir, and get out there and show them how it's done. Tim also, passion, courage, and conviction. 2 warriors on the show and in the chat tonight. To that we say, that's how we like it. We, as Mirror, we respond to energy, and you have both got it.
Excellent. All right.
Don't worry, Tim. We like you. Right, the next bit, and let's go for it. Now then, let's talk. Hey, we like to talk about creativity on this show, but some of the things that occasionally get forgotten in indie comics is the fact that we have to make a living, and it's commerce. Commercial art is what it is. Creative plan, yes, but a business plan. We're on our 10th business plan, and we recognize we have a creative plan, which is that thick. And then we have a business plan weighing in 1 million words. You know us, folks. Why have a few words when we can do a lot? But we can do haiku too as well, just in case you're running, folks. Now, it's interesting that Ernie was saying about having premium tiered features, like featuring fans in your comic, because you're directly immersing them in the creative product you're doing. So you're doing this and you're dancing together. Yeah. You're the dancer, they're the mirror, but you can actually bring one another close together. Yeah. So in quite a creatively intimate kind of way. Now, please tell us about these other options, because we like the fact that you give people with wallets a way to be customers for the kind of things they want, like, I don't know, a mega pack or a kind of have your face featured in the comic. You've got tiers to match the budget. Tell us about these tiers, please, Ernie.
Well, I mean, they're pretty simple. I mean, but I gotta say, we weren't able to. I got to you late, Azrael / Kyle. So our campaign for number 2 is over, except for the late pledges on 2 categories of digital stuff and 1 for a printed comic. But I don't think we can mail it unless to England, unless they're willing to split the cost or something on that. We're happy to if they come to like San Diego Comic-Con or WonderCon, we'll find a way to get it to them. But the digital's pretty simple, I think. But these are kind of the prices that we did. We wanted to keep it. We see people now doing like $10 for a digital comic, and I'm like, especially our number one was only 20 pages of story. It was initially supposed to be 5 issues at 20 pages. And I'm like, you know what? This isn't big enough. We have extras in there, which I think are really cool. It was altogether it's 28-page comic. So the second one's 23 pages of story. The third one's going to be like 30 pages of story, plus extras for the process junkies. It'll show a page of like the novella, and then on the next page will be the original sketches, which are going in, and we're going to use that as a preview of the next issue. That's what we did in number 1. We're going to do it again in number 2. But we just want to give a kind of a way into anybody that is on a limited budget, right? I mean, a lot of people are doing 18 and $20 for their 20-page comic. We did 15, 15 and 5 for shipping. So on some of the shipping things, like on the all-in, like get everything, we lose like 80 cents. But they're already paying like $15 for a comic, which is it's high, but it's more about the support and the backing of the indie community. And I think everybody kind of knows that. I'm not expecting it to be like a $3.99 Marvel or DC comic, because they have such economies of scale. They can do that, and you don't have to ship it, right? You can go to the comic book store and get it. But yeah, with the indie creator world, I think they're very generous in that they're actually supporting you. They know it, and that's what's kind of wonderful about them. And I'm happy to do it for my friends and other books that I find interesting.
I think that's on point. You're buying into the passion of the creator, the courage of the product to get it out there, and the conviction of a relationship. If they are consistent with a conviction of passion and courage to turn up for the fight and create that product, then basically, there's buy-in. We'll pay the extra because we're into you as a creator. We can be into you through your product. We can just think you're a cool person, and we'll support the comic because we like the creator. It can be any order. They keep turning up. They're now into double figures. Yeah, we'll throw them a dice roll. Why not? They're into double figures. Let's give them a try. So of the Trinity, it can be any. If you've got all 3, then you've got a true fan. And as you march towards 1,000 true fans, you'll make a living at this.
Well, I'm hoping one of the things, they always say number 2 is the hardest, right? Because
second album syndrome.
What's that?
Second album syndrome.
Yeah. So in the first one, you get a lot of family that'll toss you money, and they don't even want anything back. They don't want your comic, which is kind of a little like, we don't want you, keep it. I'm gonna just give you $20 here to just don't ask me again, right? So it's kind of harder in the second one. But the great thing was we had a lot of repeat customers from the nerds and the geeks, the super backers, as they call them on Kickstarter, that got involved, and now they're like, wow, this is a really unique story. Thanks a lot. Yeah, and I think that's kind of the highest compliment, is when somebody that took a flyer on you, now they're back for the second. And they're like, I gotta find out what happens in this 4-issue run. After the 4 issues, we're gonna bind it together. There'll be a 5th Kickstarter where you can get it in a what do you call it? A graphic novel form, or trade paperback that they call it. It wasn't a whatever. Graphic novel is just written all at once. I don't know why they would call it trade paperback. It's basically the most boring title for some of the most original and fun artistic endeavors, right? It's like it's trade paperback. It's the contractor's blue book. You know, like it's like it doesn't really describe how cool it is. I think graphic novel is the way to go. Uh,
Yeah, some of us took years, says Tim, to get even a small fan base. It's all about consistently bringing it in. If you've got something unique and different, and you can help your customer, your true fan, buy into you because you turn up consistently, then you're going to find people like yourself out there. You will meet. You put it out to the universe, you'll get it back. For us, no
well,
question.
yeah, I'm hoping that the people that kind of liked, appreciated some of the movies I've done, and if they know the kind of care that we took in some of the ones that came out through DC and the other shows that I've done, that they go, well, this idea is totally different, but I'm going to trust the creators because I liked some previous work of theirs, that I will check it out. And that's the whole thing, is if you can just get them to take a look at it, then usually people go, oh, well, that is an interesting idea. I wonder what's going to happen.
It's
And
just getting their foot in the door, isn't it? Yeah, just get the foot in the door creatively for them to go, hang on a minute. I'm
uh,
bored. It's the same old thing out there. It's rinse and repeat. It's sequel dystopia. You get the same old mustard and teal color grading. Doesn't matter if they appear to be two different companies. The Superman and Fantastic Four both have teal and mustard. I don't know. The guys above them, you're trying to tell us something? Why don't you just come out and tell us what it is? And we can decide if we want to go and see a teal and mustard movie or not. Just saying. Tim is asking you, Ernie, as we veer away from teal and mustard conspiracy, he's asking, has Ernie worked on anything big, or has it been small presses? Well, now he obviously missed the bit at the beginning where we introduced your robust and veteran and quality work with the studio system. If you could just give him a potted meat kind of overview of the kind of things you worked on, I think Tim might be pleasantly surprised.
well, I think I know what he's asking as far as it's in the comic book world, right? And I did get one story into a DC series called Future Shock, and it was a Guy Gardner story, about 10 pages. People really liked it, but then that editor left the company and a new editor came on, and they were like, no, we got another guy doing Green Lantern Corps, which was kind of, they were looking at me for a minute. So that's the only DC thing I've done. Done some adaptations where I did a story for some of the cartoons I've done, like Nico and the Sword of Light. But what I'm known for, Tim, is more of these animated features for DC. Depending upon how big of a nerd you are, I'm going to guess that you're at least somewhat of a nerd. Batman Hush, I did the adaptation of that movie. Justice League Dark, that was an original. I share credit with J.M. DeMatteis on the story, but I wrote the script. I did Teen Titans: The Judas Contract. I did Injustice. I co-wrote Green Lantern: Beware My Power. Um, I did the Wonder Woman story in Justice League War World. And then I also co-wrote Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. And then some of the shows that I've been on over the years, half hour wise, have been The Amazing Spider-Man from '95, Ben 10, Green Lantern, the animated series. I was the staff writer. I wrote 7 out of the 26. So that was, my boss was Jim Krieg, good friend of mine. That was a fantastic thing we did. Bruce Timm running that, Giancarlo Volpe being supervising animator. And then I thought that turned out really well. And I've done some preschool stuff too, like JJ the Jet Plane and Weather Hunters, some Lego things, Nexo Nights, but yeah. So it's a lot of different things coming and going. I guess.
Tim says he's a huge nerd. We, of course, and he says, "Oh, nice, listening to your robust veteran experience and quality experience there, and bringing that to indie comics. We might see more and more professionals thinking, hang on a minute here. Hey, if the studios want me for a job and it's reasonable pay and reasonable working conditions, maybe we could work for them now and again." But if you want the prize and the passion, and that thing where you can have creative freedom, we might see more people exploring that and building out their own audiences. And if they want to do hybrid working for the the soulful corporation, then they can do so.
Look, they're
Azrael,
both,
behave
they're
yourself.
both great. It's great, but, because they, in some cases, pay a living wage. So it's really nice to get those jobs. But yeah, for creative fulfillment, boy, oh boy, it's hard to beat working on something like this. This is like kind of like the sanity saver. When things aren't going right on another project where they're dragging it into a direction that I think like, boy, this is hurting it, but I'm going to have to try and execute this as best I can, make it the best version. There might be a production reason for it, right? It's like, oh, we don't have uh, all those characters, so now you're going to have to do it with three,
Yeah.
right? You know, so with this, it's literally we can do whatever we want, and sometimes Josh will go, he's never said, oh no, that's too big and expensive of a panel. He's just like, more, which is
Do you
really.
find you've got that alchemy between you've reached that equilibrium now where he's suggesting ideas, you're suggesting ideas, and you just want to make it more so, and you're having so much fun. It's rocking you. You've got that understanding.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we talk on, and we don't live in the same area, but we talk on Zoom. We've met at a couple Comic Cons. So I've introduced him to everybody that I know. He's got friends that they come in a group. He's from Arizona. I mean, this is going to be lost on you guys. It would be like you saying, it's a near Brighton Beach, but as far as Portsmouth, and I'm like, I don't know. Right? But it's a different state.
Different
It's a
state.
different state, right? We're talking a 8-hour car ride or a 6-hour car ride or an hour and a half to 2-hour flight. So we just do Zooms, and we find that it works out quite well. We have a good shorthand. We just go over notes. He does the marching orders. He's pretty much of a self-starter. He also has a business that he's a graphic designer. He has his own shop, so that's why he's so good at. I was scared to death of doing a Kickstarter because I was like, oh my god, I got to do that website and kind of build it and stuff. And he's like, oh man, I know how to do this stuff. I build websites for businesses every day. How hard could it be? And it was harder than we thought. But so I write everything that I'll go, oh, I now know how to do new paragraphs and add pictures. But Josh does the correct, like I'll just cut something out with a program and slap it in there, and Josh goes, oh, I see what you want to do, and then he'll put in the good version with the good resolution. So as long as he can see through the writing how it's flowing, and then fix the visuals to where they need to be. And so
It's pretty handy how because obviously with Alan Moore, we both know that he gives immense detail in the scripting. Uh, back when for Dave Gibbons on the Watchmen panels, yeah, he's known for being a very meticulous,
yeah,
kind of descriptive writer. But it's very interesting that you've chosen a visual route to actually give Josh, and we're very visual as artists, to go, oh yeah, that's what he means.
yeah. I mean,
Help out in that way.
I do. Well, I've read some of Alan Moore's scripts, and it's insane the amount of detail he goes into. I don't do that much, but what I will do is I will sometimes put in background characters and what's going on. I go like, oh, there's a Mantis soap opera going on in the background, right, while they're talking, but he's got
Almost like a dual track narrative. There's a foreground narrative, and then there's a parallax of narrative in the background. Very clever, Ernie.
yeah. I mean, because that's what it's like. You'll have people. I don't know if you've watched The Player with Tim Robbins, that movie, right? And they do this walkthrough of the studios, and you see people passing in the
Yeah,
background and stuff, and he's just like a stream of consciousness. He's talking to Tim Robbins. We're like, we'll do this meeting, blah, blah, and they're passing stuff, which is very interesting in the background. There's stuff going on. They pass kind of a like, action, right? You see like an explosion, and he's just like, this is my morning walk through to the commissary, right? This is just
yeah.
stuff that they don't talk about it. They don't react to it mostly. And I find that funny because it is kind of Hollywood is that dream factory where I go in there and I'm like, I mean, there was one time I was meeting someone for lunch on the Warner lot, and I see big crowds, so I know they're shooting on New York Street. And while
Right,
I'm heading to the commissary, Clint Eastwood is there directing a scene from, I think, The Changeling, right?
right.
So it's like 30s New York or something, 40s New York. And I'm like, this is great. So I ended up being like 10 minutes late for my lunch, and they're on the clock, right? So it was like, where were you? And I'm like, dude, Clint Eastwood was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I had to watch Clint Eastwood direct Angelina Jolie, man. I'm sorry, you had to wait. Right? And it was fantastic. I had that lunch and I ran back there and they were doing another scene and it was gone. It was like as if they'd never been there before. That's how fast they move, do something else, right? Everybody's on a clock. And I
Time
think,
is money.
yep, I think that's really neat. Golden time, baby. You don't want to get in the golden time.
Golden time. Speaking of which, why do you create indie comics? This is the why of the who, what, a why of the big five. And when did your journey with indie comics begin? So, is it creative freedom
It
after
is.
working with the studios? Does it allow you to breathe?
It's also I've wanted people to see this project, to see what I see in this project, and obviously my sheaf of paper that I give my agent and many of my friends. As I said, some of them were like, no, no, this is fantastic. You gotta continue it. But others did not get it, and I respect them as creators. It just wasn't for them. But I'm like, I want somebody to see this in the form. I'd love for it to be a cartoon or an animated feature. I think it would be a fantastic 80-minute story. And the thing is, the adventures are endless. There's not going to be no shortage of new Hollywood drama that I can just poke fun at, right? In the comic using an alien version of it. So my my goal would be at a certain point that people would come to me with their stories. Like, let me tell you what what happened to me while I was pitching, and that's kind of what I want to do. Is it just not maliciously, right? Certainly not. We're not going to go like, oh, I'm going to do a thinly disguised Henry Weinstein story. I'm like, no, nothing like that. Like more the funny and the absurd of it.
I'll tell you what, we just want to read out some of the testimony, what people said about it. You're saying that you've had some people say some nice things and you've taken a few lumps as well. So
Yeah.
we'll go just to counterbalance that. We'll bring out some nice things that people have said about it because we like to stress the positive on this show, especially on X. We do. Ernie is one of my favorite all-time writers, and this comic does not disappoint. Funny, clever, and endlessly entertaining. This is a comic that I hope goes on forever. Jeremy Adams, writer of Green Lantern, The Flash, Aquaman, and Flash Gordon. Seriously, what a great hook. It boggles the mind to believe this is Ernie Altbacker's first comic. Hard to believe, huh? Tim Sheridan, Eisner nominee, Alan Scott, The Green Lantern, Flashpoint Beyond, Master Universe Revolution. Ernie Altbacker, who figured out how to turn Hush into a DCU home video, no small feat, has a fun comic here. Wild stuff. Alan Burnett, Emmy award-winning writer, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, Suicide Squad, Hell to Pay, creator of Batman Beyond. And lastly, but by no means least, I was going to just skim Area 51 Studios, but wound up quite enjoying it. David Brin, Hugo, Nebula, Locust Award winner, Star Tide Rising, The Postman, The Uplift War, and Killing People. I tell you what, somebody likes you, or two, or three, or five.
Yeah, I mean, there's, obviously they are acquaintances of mine, friends, but if they didn't like it, they would just go, "Hey, man, I'd rather not." Right?
Yeah,
I've had that before. I know they've turned down other stuff, right? But I'll tell you, the David Brin one was kind of funny. I was in the San Diego Comic-Con. There's a professional room where we can just there's no place to sit in Comic-Con. It is weird. You have to sit like Indian style on the floor. And at age 29 and a half, Ernie doesn't like sitting on the floor, man. So they just, unless it's in a little concourse, and sometimes you can't find a seat to even have lunch. You got to eat it standing up. So they have this professional thing, and you can usually find a seat there. And I'm sitting down, and I hear this conversation going on, and it dawns on me that this guy is David Brin, and I've read almost all of his books. He's brilliant. He's a NASA physicist, actually JPL, I think, Jet Propulsion Labs, which is another, top secret, whatever. And he's worked on the Voyager, stuff like that. Okay. So he's incredibly smart. And I read his work. The Postman is the only thing I think in the movies, but he does this thing where he does 50 years in the future or 20 years in the future, which is really hard to do. So he extrapolates what the culture will be. And he has kind of called the smart glasses and everybody being filmed all the time in a book called Earth. Then there's another one that Killing People, where you can make basically your own clay clones with your consciousness. They go do all your errands and come back and download what they've done during the day. So there's also sex and booze ones where you can go and do heroin and get the experience of it without having to do that and kill yourself, right? And he's just so far thinking. And I'm like, oh, and I talk, and it kills me. I was so fanboying out. I didn't get a picture with David Brin, but he's like, do you want to see the pitch deck to the Killing People and Star Tide Rising? And I'm like, do I? Right. Wow. So I figured, there's no way. He made a show of taking down my email and stuff, and then he had to go do a panel. And I'm like, he's never going to freaking do that. Well, 2 weeks later, he's like, it's been taking the time. I've been sending everything out, and here it is. And he sent me all this stuff, preview chapters of his next book and stuff. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is so great. And I go, hey, Mr. Brin, thanks a lot. Here, you check out this comic. I actually do a lot of hat tips. And in the first book, there's something that ZB says is wearing this bodysuit, because they're all aliens in there. It's just like Men in Black, where the little guys in your head, right? In your, controlling the bodysuit. And so he's wearing this bodysuit is my Prinder weight, the Saints of Arnolco that swum the fiery lake across Bryn. And Lake Bryn is basically David Brin. It's I just put in the titles and characters and authors' names in these random alien sentences, right? That you don't have to know. You know that he's saying something that he thinks is very poetic. And his assistant's like, nope, you just like the meds that they pump into your patab ass. And he's like, oh, that's hurtful. But you know what? Order me some reloads. I'm running low. So to wear the bodysuit, the alien physiology needs a little boost of stim shots and stuff like that actually feel quite good. So yeah, it's like a lot of thinking going into that. So I send him this book, and I just sent him the actual the panel that has his name in it, and he actually reads it and he gets back to me, and whatever the quote is, it's like, I was just going to skim Area 51, but I ended up quite enjoying it, which means he read it. And then I asked him again, I go, hey, could we use that as a quote? Even though it's kind of, it's not the greatest
lean
quote.
in just a little bit, gotta lean in a bit.
Yeah. So we basically put on a little asterisk and said, we'll take it. That's our quote on his quote. It's like, we'll take it. He read it, man, because you'll read a page, and if you're not gripped by it, you're going to stop reading. He's got piles of crap that he's going to read in addition to having a successful career as a physicist and writing his own projects. So that he took the 20 minutes to read this comic and write me an email that said, hey, I actually quite enjoyed it. Like, oh, yes. So that's full fanboy. I mean, you can tell that I'm just like a big kid also. I was going to Comic Cons before I was ever got paid or to do so.
Same here with conventions. Same as here with conventions. Remember sleeping on the convention floor rather than going round to the sleeping headquarters, which our guiding star had paid for. And very uncomfortable. We were going through our Xandra Rhodes phase at the time in terms of our dress, with our cloak and big blue penny hat, a little bit different. And remember trying to get some sleep while hearing Aliens 2 by James Cameron chugging on those bullets, and we're thinking we're never going to get any sleep tonight. Anyway, because they had the 24-hour cinema running. So anyway, won't go into the United Kingdom Comic Art Convention and all the sins of our past, but we will say hello, Dave Brink at Genuine Comics. He's saying hello, Kyle and Ernie. How's it going? And he's going, hello, chat. We had Tim, the Passionate Olsen, in there early. In case you don't know, Ernie Altbacker, Dave Brink and Genuine Comics are the vanguard standard, gold standards, you might say. That proves that indie comics can do superheroes. Not only can they do them, they're the most popular by distribution, by popularity. I think at least one poll that we saw several months back in terms of all indie comic creators and all indie comics, the quality speaks for itself. And we've got a new book coming out soon, haven't we, Dave? Safeguard. So if you've got a juicy question, and Dave, when he comes on the show, Dave Brink, he always comes out with a killer question for our in-house experts and creative leaders. Usually a very incisive one that will require a bit of thought and a decent reply. But we will say, actually, his recent campaign, Perfect 10, beautiful set of books, 1 to 6, recently folded that into a trade paperback, which obviously you got to have 6 issues. They did the 6th issue on a crowdfund along with the trade paperback. They've got another crowdfunder going at the moment as well for Perfect 10 to get it. Again, another tribal audience. You go to Fund My Comic, you go to Indie Go, you go to Kickstarter, you get people loyal to those platforms with their own inherent tribes. So, I mean, Dave's books are quality. The artwork today for Safeguard that we featured over on X promoting that, absolutely mind-blowingly meticulous exactitude. What a legend he has working for him on the actual penciling. Absolutely. Here's what Genuine Comics says, yes, sir, Safeguard launched yesterday, and they're, I think, already third on total after 24 hours.
No.
Third is gone. That's them going. And he says here, welcome to Carl Prometheus to discover creators still known to us. Absolutely, Dave. We like to feature people. I mean, if you catch the restream, Dave, you'll see that a couple of times Ernie's explained that he's worked for DC Studios in terms of adaptations, you know, and, I mean, crikey, Batman, Hush, Dark Justice League, and so forth. I mean, if you've got a question for him, he's got industry veteran experience and quality experience. And there's a little bit of work for DC Comics, but he's actually throwing his weight behind this, I think, soon to be known gem, because you're going to go ahead with issue 3, aren't you, Ernie?
Yeah, that'll be February. And as I said, if you go to the Kickstarter for Area 51 Studios or look up Ernie Altbacker on the thing, we have late pledges where you can get the digital copies of you can catch up. You can get what's known as the digital deluxe package, and that includes 1, 2, and the novella, which is 150 pages with 20 black and white original drawings by Josh. And yeah, if you want to just check it out, I mean, please follow the project. Follow me. I'm the only Ernie Altbacker in the United States. So
cool. You're unique.
Yeah,
You're
I'm at Ernie Altbacker on Facebook, X, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I don't think I'm going to join anymore. I'm too old. I'm certainly not going to be dancing for you on TikTok. I'm sorry, kids.
Maybe not TikTok. What advice would you give to aspiring creators, Ernie? On this show, we like to listen, learn, and share from our in-house creative leaders, and you're our in-house expert tonight. What would you? Because we've not only have we got indie comics, but we've got indie comics families now. It's a culture.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the main advice. The main advice is like Nike, just do it. Don't wait around for someone to say, yes, you can, or you can do it yourself. Certainly in this age of technology, even if, like me, I can't draw a lick. And even setting up some of these sites is beyond me. But I found a partner that could do that stuff, and we kind of fit the puzzle pieces. Like he's in Arizona. He hasn't done a bunch of these, but he had these artistic ambitions. Having 3 kids got in the way of that, so he needed something that would actually put food on the table and get the kids shots and stuff. So he had to do that, but now they're big enough that he was looking at the perfect time to, like, I'd like to realize those unrealized artistic ambitions of mine. So he was looking. I was sick of waiting for somebody to call, and I'm like, I'm going to just do this by myself. And so we hooked up. You will find someone. There's a community near you of nerds or comic book drawings in your city. I guarantee it. It might be small, depending upon how out of the way you are. If you're in London, there's a lot of talent over there. So you just got to go and meet face to face. Sometimes there is no substitute for meeting face to face and looking somebody else in the eye and going, this person, I get along with this person. We could probably do something cool together. And
press the flesh, chemistry.
Exactly. And if the feeling's mutual, well, then you go. And if not, you just keep looking. There's always, and it is always better to have done something, no matter that it didn't turn out exactly as you wanted it, than to have done nothing. Because I have some friends here that make this mistake too. It's like, well, they weren't going to give me the budget to where I could do it properly. Forget about that. It is better to have a credit, to have done something, because during that project, no matter how woefully under budgeted it is, and it didn't come out with the creative vision or the panache that you wanted it to, you're going to meet a bunch of people and you get to bitch with them about what went wrong.
Your advice there is liquid gold, Ernie Altbacker. And Dave makes this comment. So, yet most people do know Ernie, but don't know it because you've worked on a lot, sir.
Well, that's the thing. If I had if I had the household name of like James Gunn or a J.J. Abrams or something, but you got to break through for that. Yes, when I in a nerd situation, if I go, I did the adaptation of Batman Hush. Usually people know Batman Hush. If you're a Batman fan, and everybody's a Batman fan, you probably have gone through all the movies. What else is there? Well, one of the main other things would be the Batman Hush adaptation. I don't take all credit for it. It's a huge team effort. There are all these artists working on it too, and obviously I'm adapting from Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee's masterwork. But yeah, so I guess I'm known in that case, but it would be better if they just like kind of knew Ernie Altbacker, like let's throw money at him so he can do a project. We're not at that point yet.
Tell you what, Ernie, seeing as you brought up Batman, can you do the Batman Keaton voice? You're like, I'm Batman. Can you do that? You don't have to. You can, for your professional dignity, you can decline.
I can try. I'm Batman.
That's very good. We like it. We like it a lot.
Not bad. I'm Batman. Yeah.
Okay, Ernie, we think we might have a clue about which superhero you might be. What superhero would you be? Would you either be Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, or Linda Carter's Wonder Woman? Who would you be?
I would. Gotta love. Nobody can replace Linda Carter's Wonder Woman. I would be Hal Jordan. I think I could do some Will stuff. Yeah.
Team Altbacker.
Yeah.
Got to do that. Right, the bonus questions, not too many. We don't need a lawyer we don't need a lawyer from The Simpsons and a big glass window. We're only a couple more questions. What are your plans for Ernie Altbacker going forwards? Are we going to see Area 51 Studios 3, as you hinted?
You're going to see 3 in February, 4 in June or July, and then hopefully the graphic novel towards the end of the year in 2026. So we're going to try. That's a kind of a nut crusher of a schedule, but we're going to try. If not, it would be the graphic novel would be in the beginning of 2027. But yeah, so I want to get those 4 issues out by middle of the year. Then we're going to try tabling, grabbing tables at certain Comic Cons in the area, mostly, not traveling.
Local.
Yeah, I don't mind driving 3-4 hours, but I don't want to have to get on a flight. But at this point, because we don't have that much stuff, I've written a couple of live action features. I can't mention exactly. I have this old manuscript that is my big world type thing, and a publisher is interested in publishing it, so that's very exciting to me. As well as,
is it your opus, your secret opus?
It is my secret opus, so I'm hoping that is going to go well. And then there's another graphic novel opportunity off of an original idea that I had that might kick off in 2026, and it's a really fun idea. Unfortunately, I can't really get into details right now, but boy, I'm gonna be starting to plan that. And I guess I'm doing I don't know if it's out near you, but do you know Aztec Batman? So
heard of it?
Yeah, Aztec Batman is basically, it's an Elseworlds. It's a big Elseworlds, it actually got a theatrical release in Mexico in 500 theaters. Now, this thing was supposed to just go straight to HBO Max, and they thought highly enough of it for Mexico to release it in 500 theaters. It ended up finishing number 10. Remember, $2 million movie, finished number 10 out of all movies.
Most impressive.
Yeah, number 3 per screen average. And I guess it's number 1 on HBO Max in Mexico for 3 or 4 days in all movies, which is crazy to me. So it hasn't come out on HBO Max here. I think you can rent it in Amazon for $6 now. But it's a big world. It's kind of a very heavy lift. If you're familiar with Batman Ninja, which I didn't do anything on that. I just enjoyed it as a fan. So they wanted to do something in the Aztec world. And I was kind of like, well, I don't want to do like a time tunnel, because that's what they did. They took Bruce Wayne from modern day Gotham and then put him into feudal Japan with the costume changes. I want to do this heavier lift where it's not even Batman. It's how the Batman mythos would organically arise at the height of the Aztec Empire. So we use a lot of historical moments and historical figures, and we kind of place them in there. Like Hernan Cortez is actually the villain of the piece. He becomes Two-Face.
Got you.
And it's the Joker's in there, but he's a priest who goes crazy.
Oh.
It was a very heavy lift, and the people that like it really like it. And then there's other people who are like, no, that's crap. But it is an Elseworlds. I think it's very original. I can't believe Warner Brothers let us do it, that they're willing to let somebody create a whole new Batman mythos, a whole new corner of the Batman mythos is something that I will always be thankful for. And big ups to my director, Juan Mazaleon. He's a genius. He's directed first movie, but he's directed shows that you might have heard of, like Rick and Morty, Harley Quinn, The Regular Show, Final Space, the upcoming President Curtis, which is the Rick and Morty spinoff. So very talented guy, and I hope to be working with him. We have a couple ideas that we're going to be taking out with him as director and me as writer, and we're going to hope to maybe get some financing for that and do them as shows. So
very interesting regarding Batman Aztec. It obviously put a lot of faith in you and believed in you. And just from speaking to you tonight, you're a guy that creates an aura of trust and faith and believability, of convincingness, yeah? And that comes from the warmth, not only of your personality, but your experience shines through. We like the idea about the Aztec Batman because it suggests it's a Batman mythos that is a phenomenon that will rise. It goes beyond Bruce Wayne. It's a mythos that will manifest and catalyst according to the need of rebalancing the cosmic darkness on the planet Earth.
Whoa, man, you get it. You haven't even watched it. Yeah, that's what we're saying, is that
I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it now.
That culture, in a different culture, the injustice will force a Batman-like character to be born.
Exactly.
And to combat that injustice.
Now we get it. That's the whole point of Elseworlds, to tell us a compelling, different story. You sold us on Elseworlds. Give you that. You didn't sell us on Crisis, but on Elseworlds, yes.
Some people really get in a twist over. There was this great quote. I mean, sometimes the haters they just make me laugh a lot. I'm not laughing at them. I'm like, that's a genuinely good joke, right?
Well,
like there's a picture of the Joker, and he's actually killed one of the conquistadors, and now he's wearing that metal helmet, right? but everybody thought, oh my God, the Joker is European. That's totally wrong. He's an Aztec priest, but he kills a guy and he wears his uniform because he does something. I won't spoil it. And there was like this meme of like, I think the Joker goes, Batman, I won't let you sacrifice. Won't let you sacrifice these 10 children. I will foil your plan by not letting you sacrifice these 10 children. Ha 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 ha. And then Aztec Batman goes, Joker, you must let me slit their throats, or the sun will not rise.
Oh dear.
Like, it's kind of historically accurate, but they don't get it that he's like the reformer. He's not sticking up for Aztec sacrificial society.
Reverse duality.
Yeah.
Now, I've got to just interject here. Dave Brinks at Genuine Comics always does a killer question. And we love him when he comes into chat and comes up with one of his killer questions. Always thoughtful, always incisive, like the sword of Damocles. Ernie, in regards to the craft of screenwriting, what has changed throughout the years? And if anything, what do you think that everyone can learn to write?
Well, I think that the screenwriting format, when I first started, it was a barrier to a regular writer just coming in and writing for a show, because there was a very specific format that you had to learn how to make it sing and so it wouldn't look too cluttered, and that you can write it in a way as to not being boring for the reader, and that would reveal what's in your head to try and get the pictures going on in their theater of the mind, so they go, oh yes, this could be good. And now when Seinfeld came out, they started writing TV shows more like features, which is a much more naturalistic style, other than slug lines, which are easier to use. But if you look like a play format, you're like, oh, this is sucking the life out of any play. Is this format? This just is awful, right? So that has gotten easier. I think that as far just a technical bit. As far as everyone can learn how to write, I believe that. I mean, can you learn? You can always learn to get better. And in fact, when I read stuff, because of that, I would say if you want to get better as a writer, you should be a reader. If you're not reading anything, you're not seeing how other authors are doing it or other comic book writers are doing it. Read the scripts, not the comic, right? Read the thing before. And then I read a couple chapters of any sort of book that I'm reading before going to bed. And I'm also looking at it like, oh, this is so interesting, the way he described that, the way they're going in and out with his thoughts to what he's saying, and the juxtaposition that he's doing it, and in the style that they put it in, it's very clear. Whereas sometimes that gets muddled and then it's confusing. You don't want confusion. Yeah. Confusion is bad. It's okay to say, ooh, what's going on? I don't understand. But I'm really excited to find out, as opposed to what the hell's going on? I don't understand.
When it's too abstract. I mean, for years we were reading Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. That took us the best part of 2 years to read. That was a small print edition. Very, very hard on the eyes and a bedside lamp. And we remember, even back in the Lost in the Mist of Time, reading Umberto Eco's The Name of the Rose, when you're talking about the density and detail of books versus screen adaptation. You watch the movie, then you go and read the book, you come back to the movie, it feels like an empty sandwich. Even though we love Sean Connery as the mentor, with his glasses and his love of books. And our current squeeze is obviously being in Britain at the moment is Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, of course. And I think we're way past Orwell. But moving swiftly on, we've got another question for you. It's one of the last. Favorite pizza, Dave. We hope that answered your question by our robust veteran writer.
I hope so. But if not, if anybody has a question, if you follow me and just like ping me on a specific project, or what were you thinking here? Oh my God, I hate you. You ruined my childhood. I'm willing to take all comments and such. But I guess you gotta follow to get it there. Sometimes there's comments from other people that I don't see until 3 or 6 months later, and I'm like, oh man, I should have gotten back to this person, but I didn't see it, But yeah. Favorite pizza. Ooh.
Dave loved your answer. He's not going to send you any hate via X. He's absolutely loved the answer. Thanks,
Okay.
Dave. We appreciate your love, Dave.
I gotta go pepperoni. I mean, just straight pepperoni. Now, I also sometimes like pepperoni, onion, and pineapple. Yes, I'm one of the people that likes pineapple on their pizza. But just if I'm going to just choose, like, you can only have one piece of one type of pizza the rest of your life, pepperoni would do just fine. Last night, I don't have it that much because it's just calorific,
Calorific, we like that.
And I gain weight easily. So there's this great place in Hermosa Beach called Paisanos, and they're New York people. I mean, they were when they started it. I think they've sold the business several times, but they still keep the same recipes. And last night I had this like 3 months ago, and I'm like, if they have that slice, I'm going to get it tonight. And I was passing by the street. I popped in. They actually have a baked ziti pizza. So they arrange the ziti all on it. So you're getting, it's like ziti and the cheese pizza. And it is delicious. You throw Parmesan cheese on that and some garlic, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. So I just had a slice of that last night, which is
pure devil food.
Well, it's just more of a weird one. That's more of a weird one. But pepperoni, that's where my heart lies.
Pepperoni, live and breathe.
New York style. New York style, not
New York style.
Style's okay. Deep dish, I get it. It's so sloppy. You got to eat it with a knife and fork. Pizza should be with a knife and fork.
Hey, you like what you like in New York style. Now, where can they find out more info about Area 51 Studios?
Well, that's the address of the Kickstarter right there. And yeah, if you have any questions on it, I mean, certainly my X and my Facebook are the things that I get updated most often. But all the news, basically, I try to keep it very interesting. And the projects that I worked on, I mean, there are some other things that are happening right now, which are kind of interesting. I did a live action, very low budget movie in Hungary, and I mean, it was like $60,000, right? So maybe 55,000 quid or 50, I don't know. And
55,000 quid. Well, I like that. That's a bit the old brick tongue.
Yeah, and this thing, it was fantastic. We had the stunt team from Dune 2 doing our fight scenes because they knew each other. It's a small, tight film community, and the director Stu Gamble did a great job. And so we just started our festival run on that. And the first festival we got into was the Smod Castle Film Fest, which is Kevin Smith's film festival, and we ended up winning best feature comedy, which was just like, it blew me away. It's about two bumbling private detectives, and title's not mine. It's called Dicks, because private dick is a word, a slang saying.
It is
for detective over here. I'm like, Stu, yeah, no one's going to know it in Europe like that. But it also kind of goes because they are kind of losers. So, I mean, the other alternate title,
double entendre, shall we say?
Yeah, there you go. It was like, I think I had first had it as like the fiasco, but he's like, no. If I title it this family show, I'm not going to say it again. That'll get people to look at the poster, and it turns out he's right. So
there you go. You can't beat marketing.
yeah.
Marketing will get you every single time, and you certainly know how to market yourself, sir. We would say that definitely. Now, what can we say? Thank you, Ernie Altbacker, for being our special guest. Not only do we wish you well, veteran, quality writer, pedigree on your side, and marshalling your resources you do, and harnessing your talent you can, and you're bringing all that corporate expertise to bear on an indie comic project, which is doing something a little bit different. With the art has a delicate, intimate style. You're in the know. You know how the studio system works, and you're bringing that to bear to put your shoulder into this creative project with an artist who knows exactly how you think. Creative alchemy with just a little bit of know and those layers of detail. Yes, the plot. Yes, the script. Yes, the experience of the system. We've still got to put it into an entertaining package of, yes, the dialogue, but then those little geek fest in jokes, those layers and layers, which will make what we meant to say earlier was narrative density and reward second and third readings.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's one of my minor, things that I pick at on some of the comic books that I pick up is you're done with them in 5 minutes, and they had maybe 20 or 30 lines because it was all action. And I'm like, man, I just spent $5 on this thing and I'm done with it. Art's great, whatever. I want to write this project because it is so chewy. And then people, if you want to look in the back of the panels too. I mean, if the digital thing can be what do you call it, pulled out to where you can see these little details, which I think is freaking insane.
It is.
I mean, like for issue number 1, we have a guy. He's an alien guy, and you see something going on in the background, like a set. So he's on a show, right? As a human, there's a human head next to him. And so I described this scene, but for the artist to get into it, he has to put in all these other things. And then so I'm looking at it over with him, and I'm like, well, this is fantastic. And then I kind of stretch out. I'm like, what's he wearing? And he had given him a shirt, right? So it's an alien playing a human. And he's like, well, yeah, the production designer over there would probably put a shirt with advertising on it, but they don't really know our advertising. So he had created a soda called Mouth Drink. And the tagline is, "It tastes." And I'm like, God, that's so banal, but true. Like we've seen stuff that's stupider than that, right? That becomes huge.
Sometimes that banal stuff works. People sometimes resonate with that rather than something that you maybe thought too much over.
Yeah. So we actually had a fake in issue number 1. We had a fake ad for Mouth Drink, and now it's like becoming a thing, right? The Mouth Drink Corporation, the Mouth Drink family of hallucinogenic drinkables, right? Energy drinkables.
Yeah, that could be interesting merch going forwards. Just got to watch that you don't poison anybody with that, and you get.
Well, we're not gonna make it, but that would be like really last to just get an energy drink, a Korean.
Although Mike Mignola of Hellboy did actually team up with a beer company to actually create a Hellboy beer drink. Just saying.
I would want to, but I think we're gonna get to. We've got stickers now, and this one you're gonna get.
Stickers and T-shirts, perhaps better.
Yeah, that by number 4, we want to have a Mouth Drink T-shirt.
Mouth Drink T-shirt, why not? That's a good compromise.
Yeah, that's it. We're gonna do that at first, and then if we, who knows? If it becomes a show, then yes, that's when we talk to a South Korean energy drink producer, because I want it to have like a weird, funky taste. You know,
Of course.
you're like,
Of course.
you know,
Of course. It'd be nice to go through the samples on that one.
it's like raspberry and rutabaga, new flavor. Right? You're like, what?
Sounds like you'd probably have far too much fun on that one, Ernie.
You never know. You never know.
You never know. Right then. Right. Look, we're going to play our outro trailer. We really enjoyed this show.
I
We
mean, I
say
hope I
God
wasn't
bless you and
boring.
Godspeed to you, because you've you know, it's warmth, it's experience, and you know what? Experience is.
I mean, look, I hope that I didn't. I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, have we been on for 2 hours and 15 minutes, man? I've been like overstaying my welcome here, Kyle.
No, not at all. We say to anybody who's going to watch this over again on a kind of a recast and a restream, they're going to get liquid gold from the person they don't know, but they really do know. And somebody's bringing that robust industry talent to the indie comics wild frontier. And we say that's the kind of same with Chuck Dixon, you know, over at Rippaverse. Yeah, you might even be able to get yourself a gig with Rippaverse, something like that, with Eric July and that. I mean, what you're doing is bringing that professionalism to bear in indie comics. And we think if the one thing that perhaps indie comics can do with is just a touch more seasoning on the pizza when it comes to professionalism, you know, and you've got that in buckets. Lean into it, harness that talent. Yes, you've got it, but marshal those resources to really keep this series folding into a trade, but also get that independent opus on the go as well.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I mean, to anybody that's still on and made it all the way through this, thank you very much. And as I said, I'm happy to answer your questions. And if you end up watching Aztec Batman, you want to see layers, my friend, in an animated cartoon feature, Aztec Batman has got some layers, and we accomplish. It's jam packed of how much we accomplish and how many characters we put in there. So if you if you watch that and want to have a discussion on just that and the process of making that, I'm happy to come back. Right.
Aztec Batman, we're so going to watch that, staying into the green light of our iMac camera. So going to watch Aztec Batman. You completely sold us on that. Right then, let's hit that outro trailer. Thanks, Benny. God bless you, sir.